Welcome to Clara's Creation, 5th English, Story Time, 12 months.
Once upon a time, my dear students, far away country, there lived a mother who had two daughters. One was her own daughter, the other was a stepdaughter. The mother was very fond of her own daughter, but she hated the stepdaughter. The only reason was Morgana, the stepdaughter, was very prettier than her own daughter Helena. Did you recollect something, student? A similar type of a fairy tale you must have heard? Cinderella, right? Where the stepmother hates Cinderella and she loves her own daughter. So over here, Morgana's stepmother hated her because Morgana looked more prettier than Helena. The gentle-hearted means kind-hearted Morgana did not know how beautiful she was, how pretty she was. So she never could make out the reason why mother always was so cross, so annoyed with her. Morgana had to do all the day work, the housework, tidying up the cottage, cooking, washing, spinning, everything. She liked to work. She did it all without complaint, without grumbling. Helena spent adorning herself, lazing away, idling away. Even then, her mother scolded, rated, abused her. Scolded, shouted, rated, got angry, abused, to say bad words, even sometimes to beat up. She envied her so much that one day she decided to throw her out of the house. Go, Morgula, and get me some violets from the forest. I want to wear them. I want to smell them, said Helena, the stepsister. But my dear sister, it's impossible to get violets in the snow, said the poor Morgula. How dare you argue with me to do something? Off you go at once. If you don't, bring me violets from the forest. I'll kill you, said Helena threateningly. Threatening when you make someone scared. You make the person life by make the person scared by taking by blackmailing that person. The stepmother caught hold of Morgana, turned her out of the door, slapped the door on her face. Slam the door to shut the door at your face, to bang the door at your face. Morgana went into the forest weeping bitterly. The snow was covered. Human footprints could not be seen. Morgana wondered for a long time. Tortured, that is. Torture is when someone troubles you by hunger, trembling with cold, shivering with cold. At last she saw a light at distance. She went towards the glow, which came from the top of the mountain, a big bonfire. Around the fire were the 12 stones, and 12 men seated on it. Three of them had a snow-white beard. Three were not so old, and three were still young. And the three, the youngest and the handsomest of all. They were speaking to each other, or they were not speaking to each other, but all sitting silent. The 12 ones were, the 12 men were the 12 months of the year. Great January sat highest of all. His hair and beard were white as snow. He had a club in his hand. Morgana was frightened, stood still for a little time. In terror, she was shivering. Growing bolder, she went up, bolder with confidence, tried to gain her courage, tried to gain her confidence, and said, Please, kind sir, let me warm my hands at your fire. Great January nodded his head and asked, Why have you come here, my dear little girl? What are you looking for? I'm looking for violets, answered Morgana. This is no time of looking violets. Everything is covered with snow, answered Great January. Yes, I know, but my sister Helena and my stepmother said, bring them some violets from the forest. If I don't bring them, they'll kill me. Tell me, father, please. Where can I find them? We can see the 12 man sitting around the stone, and one of them is pleading for him, my children. Great January stood up and went to the younger ones and said, March, giving him the club. Brother, take the high C. March took the high C. That's the month of March. Sat on the stone, waved the club over the fire. The fire blazed. Snow began to melt. The trees began to bud, and the ground was at once covered with grass. It was springtime. Violets began to bloom. Violets began to bloom. Little leaves. Before Morgla had time to think, so many of them had sprung up. Look at the little blue cloth spread around. And they, Morgla happens to gather all the violets that she could from the forest, as much as she could quickly. Now pick them up, Morgla commanded March. Morgla picked them joyfully till she had a big bunch, and she thanked them with a thankful heart and went happily home. The stepmother, how she managed getting violets in this winter, and they opened the door. The scent of the violet filled the whole cottage. The fragrance was all over. Where did you get them? Asked her sister sulkily, very cunningly. They are growing under the bushes in the forest high mountain. Alina snatched the flower and did not even give one single to her sister. You can see in this picture the violet flower, my dear students. Next day she called her and said, go, Mordecla, get me some strawberries from the forest. Alas, dear sister, where could I find strawberries in this hard winter? How dare you argue with me? Go at once and get the strawberries, or I'll kill you. Again she threatened her. The stepsister caught hold of Morgla, pushed her out of the door, and shut the door after her. Morgla went weeping bitterly. The snow was lying deep. There wasn't a single human being footprints to be seen again. Wandered where in long time, by hunger, with cold, shivering. She saw the light. The other day, overjoyed, she went. She came to the great fire, and in she found those 12 brothers sitting across the fire. Please, kind sir, let me warm my hands at the fire. Great January nodded again. Why have you come again? What are you looking for here? I'm looking for strawberries. My sister Helena and stepmother bade me, told me, go, bring strawberries. And if I don't, they'll kill me. Tell me, please, where can I find? January rose. He went over to the man sitting opposite to him. It was June, and he handed over the club. Brother, take the high seat. June took up the high seat, sat on the stone, and swung the club over the fire. The fire shot up, the heat melted. The moment in the ground, all green trees covered with leaves, birds began to sing. The forest was filled with all kinds of flowers, and it was summer. The ground and the bushes were covered with scarlet. Cherry blossoms were turning into strawberries every minute. Ripened at once, Morgla had time to think. Where so many of them it took. The red carpet had been on the ground. Pick them up at once, commanded June. And they, Morgla, picked up joyfully. You can see in this picture how Morgla is gathering all the strawberries. And she thanked the man with all her heart, scampered merrily. Helena and the stepmother wondered. They saw bringing her strawberries. Apron was full. Where did you get them from? asked Helena again, very cunningly. There are plenty of them growing in the forests on the high mountains. Helena took all the strawberries, ate them up with her mother, but poor Morgan just staring and didn't get a single one. Now, the third day, my dear students, Helena ordered Morgana, go into the forest and get me some apples. Stepmother caught hold of Morgana without giving her a chance to speak, pushed her out of the door, shut it after her. Morgana went to the forest weeping bitterly. Again, she ran straight top of the mountain where the fire was burning and saw the 12 brothers, the 12 months, the 12 men sitting across. Sir, please, kind sir, please help me. Great January nodded. Now again, what are you looking out for? I'm looking out for red apples. I don't bring them. My sister and my stepmother will bring. Tell me, father, tell me, please, where could I find them? Great January rose up, again went over to the older months. September handed the club. Brother, take the high seat. Month September took the high seat. Stone swung, club over the fire, and the fire began to melt. Snow began to melt with the heat of the fire. There was cold winter and faded leaves down, and then the autumn season was to be seen. Morgla saw the red apple tree. She at once went, saw the hanging apples among the branches. Shake the tree at once, Morgla commanded September. Right gladly she shook, shook her head, tree, and one apple fell down and the another. And so, likewise, she was able to manage to get apples. Morgla obeyed at once. She picked all the apples, thanked all the 12 brothers, the 12 months, the 12 men, for their kind-heartedness, for their generosity. Happily, cheerfully, she went home. Helena and stepmother wondered. They saw Morgla bringing apples. Where did you get them from? I found them in the forest, on the high mountain. And why did you bring more? Or did you eat some while coming home? Helena asked harshly. Harshly means rudely. Alas, sister dear, I haven't tasted one. She took, I shook the tree twice. Two apples fell, and let me shake the tree again. They shouted to me straight at home, protested Morgula. Maybe you must be struck to death by the lightning, said wicked Helena. Wicked, very shrewd, and began to eat apple. Tasted so delicious. She told her mother she had never tasted such a nice and a tasty apple all her life. Stepmother too found the apple tasty, and they wanted more. Greedy mother and daughter wore the fur coat. Let's go to forest ourselves and get the apple. Dragged in the little red wood, the little red bread that is Helena, address Morgla, would eat them all up again. Way home, we'll find the place right. I'll shake them, and however, they'll shout at me. Her mother agreed. They wrapped themselves. Both the mothers and daughters are now going to go to the forest. The snow lay deep, wandered far long time. They were wandering in the forest for a long time. High on the top of the mountain, there was a huge fire burning, and those 12 months sitting around. They stepped to the fire and stretched out their hand to warm up, without asking the permission, with one polite. Both the mother and daughter have reached up to the 12 months. They've reached where the 12 months were sitting, and they stretched out the hands across the fire. Why have you come here? What are you looking for? Asked Great January, looking cross, looks angry. Why do you want to know? You old fool, replied Helena disrespectfully. It's none of your business, said the mother. Great January frowned, and he swung the club over his head. The sky grew darker, and it became more colder. The thick and icy wind began to blow all over the forest. Colin and the mother could not step in front of them. They tried to find their way home back, but the masses of snow happened to fall. Monica waited and waited and waited, but the mother and sister did not come. When they went back to search, when she went back to search for them, she couldn't find her mother and sister. The 12 months either in the forest. At last she returned home sadly. So the good Moricla inherited the cottage and the land around it. She married a kind-hearted husband, and they both lived happily thereafter. What do we learn from the story? What could be the moral of the story? The moral of the story is that it is the wicked who has to pay the price for his evil deeds, and good always triumphs over the evil. No matter how wicked you are, how sure you are, you cheat someone, you will lie someone, but the good will always win, and the evil has to pay the price. Meaning, adorning, beautifying oneself. Rated, scolded, great deal. Abuse, to use bad language. Scarlet, strawberry flowers. Delicious, very tasty. Written explanation of the lesson is provided here.